people.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Welcome
Good
back to
morning.
Health, Wealth, and Relationships with Tisa.
And Grant,
How are you guys today?
you
Well,
know,
we are in the middle and almost wrapping up August. It's been a quick summer. I don't
you
know.
got you got to
Like
mention
all of you
this.
are like,
Today is the first day of school. School is back in.
that's right. So hopefully you guys all took our tips and set yourself up and had your whole week to get the kids ready. And so I hope that happened. I hope you used our 7-day get ready for school tips. And everybody's going to be had got up this morning because it's 10. Got up this morning, no problem. Had the closed out last night, and so I hope you
Yep,
guys are ready.
yep.
Chime in and if you guys were ready. If you used our 7-day tool tip to get ready for school. We want to see if it worked for you, if it didn't work for you. Trying to see if it makes sense to you. But
Yeah, go ahead and interrupt. And you got to have a shout out to the new school that just they got approved. They're having their first day of classes. They got, on Wednesday, everybody came out, the mayor and the people. Congratulations. Congratulations.
to the new school name.
The new school, now don't get me going because I know it's down at the Hope Center, down by the boys club, the old boys club, and they're occupying that particular location. And I saw the school, I saw the girls. I was just so happy because it is a all school for Black children, for Black girls. That's what it's for. And they
Yes.
made it that way. And it's going to be a preparatory school. I think it's going to be wonderful. Really get it concentrated. And I'm sure everybody that graduated from that school is going to be heads and tails above where they would have been without the school.
Yeah, I'm glad the community came together for the girls' school. I can't remember the name either. That's why I was asking you. But it is all girl preparatory school. Dr. Darnisha
There you go.
is leading it, and she's one of my sisters. She's a wonderful woman. It was a wonderful idea. Shout out to the board who fought through what they were trying to do, a delay on the school. And so we just want to give a shout out to the community who rallied around the school and the girls, and they're happening. They're on and popping. So all that's good now. So I hope they have a good school year. Hope all the kids have a good school year. Hopefully you're going into it with a positive attitude, parents too, going into
Yeah.
your school year with a positive attitude in order to make your child have a successful year. So that's what
And
we
it's
want for
called the Identity Preparatory
Identity
Academy.
preparatory.
IPA, Identity Preparatory Academy.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for looking it up.
You're most welcome.
They had the ribbon cutting yesterday, so it was a lovely event. Is that what you went to? The ribbon cutting? Or
I did
you
not
see it
go.
up
I
close
saw
again?
it, and obviously it was in the news. Everybody was talking about it because it seemed like at the nth hour, when they're about to go ahead and get it enrolled, they put a stop, and everybody got very upset because this is really an historical moment. You're like, well, whoa, what's happening? Why at the nth hour do we have these questions that should have been at the first hour, not the nth hour? But I guess they got it all worked out. We were good to go. I'm pretty happy, very happy actually, about the result.
I am too. Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Dr. Danisha. So today, our topic, and it's not even an August topic, but we got together and we had some personal things going on in our family. So we thought we would discuss alcoholism. It's the new name, they had new names for everything, is alcohol use disorder. So it's no longer alcoholics. Alcoholism, it's a disorder. They're making sure everything is framed in a disorder framework, because if you have a disorder, then you can get treatment for a disorder. So we don't want to put a negative slant on being an alcoholic or having an alcohol use disorder, because it's something you can get treated for. It's something that if you stay in the game, you can really win the battle over alcoholism, but it's a daily fight. And so I'm kind of glad they changed the name, but it's the same thing. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about alcohol use or alcoholism or alcohol use disorder.
I think it's important because as we come out of the summer, and a lot of times when you're going out a lot, you're going on vacation, we got a lot of parks out here. They kind of like, put you in a situation that you may be drinking more than you normally would. But we don't always think through that some people, some parts of our community and our families, they drink more than others. And they may not be readily seeing that this is becoming a problem and not just your everyday social drinking. So this becomes a
Right.
disorder, like you're saying, like that. And a lot of times it's just you just don't know, you don't know that this is becoming a major problem. And because we're health, wealth, and relationship, this is a big health issue throughout the country
Yeah.
around the use of alcohol, and then when it goes far into the red, and what can really happen. So talk to us from that health perspective.
Well, there are signs. So when you think about any disorders, we want to make sure that we are understanding some of the signs, but also understanding kind of what contributes to some of the disorders. See, people always say, alcoholism is hereditary. I mean, and we all have alcoholics in our family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about functioning alcoholics earlier. So my grandfather was a functioning alcoholic. Cotton farm in Mississippi, 12 to 19 kids at some point. And so he made sure everything was taken care of during the week, right? They farmed, they got the money, they did the trade, whatever it is to feed the family. But on Friday night and Saturday night, my grandfather was pissy drunk.
Okay.
No, really. To
No,
the
yeah.
point, literally he could probably use bathroom and stuff, but he was like grab at us and stuff as we ran past him. He was like that drunk on a corner that you kind of like played with because he was drunk and couldn't get to you, couldn't do it. He was that guy. And so unfortunately, yeah, that's what I grew up with. But he was very functioning. He took care of his family, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he didn't lie in his piss all day. It was Monday through Friday night. That alcohol, I think it was moonshine. I don't know, Mississippi. I'm assuming. But he got with it. It got busy, and so there's functioning alcoholics. Do you know anybody who was took care of
Oh
business?
no, that was a common thing, especially
Yeah.
you think about Omaha when the packing house. A lot of like my grandfathers and probably my grandfather's father worked in these packing houses, and that was very common. What you just said, that Monday through Friday, guess what? They were at work, crack of dawn, they were there, and they took care of business. But come that Friday bell, they got loose, and they would get loose all weekend. But come Monday morning, I know it was the mothers or the grandmothers or whatever. It's like, no, you're gonna clean yourself up, and you're gonna do this all over again. That was very common.
Absolutely. And they seem to live a long time too, right? But I think the combination of the difference, I think, is a combination of their alcoholism and the way they healthily ate, right? Because they ate what they grew. They ate off the farm.
Drink
They
a lot
ate
of water.
they ate what they grew themselves. And so it kind of balanced it out, I think, and like I said, it was a Monday through Friday. So maybe 5 days after he was clean, but them 2 days he binged, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe that was a balance that kept him alive as well. So
you said the stress, and they worked hard. I mean, this was hard work.
Yeah.
And then they needed to de-stress. They needed to let go and that type of thing. Not to say that's the best way of doing it, but that's what a lot of people did. It was not uncommon at all.
Absolutely not. So when we talk about some of the health effects, now we know, and everything has been telling us about the health effects of alcohol for years. That's one of those things we don't want to hear, just like smoking. And the government is not going to let you give you the real toots about it, right? Because it's the moneymaker. Since Prohibition, when did alcohol became legal and they started selling it? I don't know, Prohibition time. But it's not something that is ever, again, that the government, the system is going to make you stop doing. It's really, you're going to have to start, it's a self-monitoring thing. And it's up to friends and families to help that person, because sometimes you don't know if you spun out of control into kind of an alcoholic lifestyle or whatever you want to say. Sometimes it's situational. Like some people get alcoholic from death. Like people die around them. The grief sets them into it. Loss of job. Don't you know people have lost their job? Then they became a bum. They become straight alcoholic because they didn't know nothing else, So situational things can definitely push you into that realm. But that's the things we have to be careful about. How do we take care of ourselves in the middle of all that stress without overuse of drugs or an alcohol, right? So that's when we talk about that self-care piece. That's where that comes important, where you got to do something else. We're going to have that stress.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely going to have it. Can't get rid of stress. It's how are you dealing with that stress? And a lot of people do turn to the liquor, turn to the alcohol. So
I want to piggyback what you just said because this is happening in our community right now. When you have a big employer like Kellogg's just shut their doors
yes.
finally after decades, right? So that goes back to that
But you know what?
scenario.
But they've been in a fight for like, I don't know if you know, because you might not have been in town. They've been in a fight for like 5 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 But think about how that, if you've been working there for 20, 30, 40 years, and
Yeah.
now that stability that you've always had, and talk about that Monday through Friday, maybe you got loose on Friday night, Saturday, got yourself together, Sunday, went back to work. Now all of a sudden that's gone. So now that stability is gone. We got to watch our people that worked in not only, let's just say Kellogg's or some other places when they retire and other things. Some people can't make that adjustment, and if
Yeah.
alcohol was their way of coping, then they might go more toward that. And now they're drinking on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like they did on Friday, Saturday. And now
Mhm.
you start to see that that's a problem.
Absolutely. And you're right. Even something as simple, I don't know, it's simple, but something as life changing as retirement can push you into that direction. A lot of people, as we're trying to teach people to age gracefully and we got to have a segment on retiring healthy, because it seems like some people retire and they die right away. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because they don't have anything else going on in your lives. And so when we talk about finding your purpose, finding your joy, doing things that make you happy, that makes you explore other things besides a job, because a lot of people don't think about it. Because all the time, most of us get in the rat race. You go to 8 to 5, you come home, you sleep, you eat, you have a dinner, you binge on something, you go to bed and start it all over again. And so the only thing you have is work. Being newly retired, for me, it's easy because I'm walking in purpose, right? For me,
Mm-hmm.
I've been running Pink Lotus. Now it's like finally time to run Pink Lotus, right? So, but for other people who don't have have not figured your, because that we all have a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that. But people who have not figured out your purpose, um, you know, some people don't know what else to do with themselves, and so it's good to take those personality tests to see what kind of personality you have, and then where your strengths are to kind of maybe help you lead you to your purpose. So don't stop trying to figure out what you're here for. So when you retire from a job, say that was just a phase. Now, what am I here for? Now that you're retired, find your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would encourage people to do. Not, and get a hobby, some hobby
Yeah.
that you could never get right to. Get to those hobbies now. Get up and get moving. Got to start eating right and moving. Make that be your purpose.
Right.
Living healthy, right?
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, let's get some health effects. Let's start with some health effects, and we'll move into, of course, how it affects your wealth and your relationship. But
Yep.
of course, we can spend time forever talking about our personal families. But just know everybody has alcoholism in their family. I'm going to use the term alcohol use disorder in their family.
Yeah. The new term.
We all got some alcoholics in our families, yes. And we might be teetering out on ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
listen to the show. Hopefully, if some of this is resonating with you, you'll get some help. There's no shame in getting help. That's just self-care. The main thing is it's strong, and it is a positive thing that you recognize if you're having a alcohol use disorder or a problem with alcohol, and making some corrections. That's the main thing. You're making the corrections. No judgment. No judgment. So some of the effects of alcohol on your brain, it affects your mood,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have been, if you ever lived with an alcoholic, you know what this is. It's an up and down roller coaster. When they're drunk, some drunks are happy drunks, so you might be experiencing that happy drunk. Oh, everything's good and dandy. He buys you stuff, and then when he's not drunk and going through withdrawals, he's mean. He's whatever.
Roller coaster.
Violence, could be
Yeah. A
violent.
lot of roller coasters.
And I don't envy anybody who grows up with an alcoholic parent, because that has got to be really the worst situation. Because I've seen them, you don't know what mood they're going to be in. It can turn real violent.
Mm-hmm.
And then next they're kissing on you and saying I'm sorry, just kind of like an abusive husband. Pop you
Yeah.
in the eye, black your eye, and then tomorrow bringing you flowers, going, I didn't mean to do that, baby. Like, you do the craziest things to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, and learning some of the signs. So for sure, it affects your blood vessels. I can attribute to that. It affects, because alcohol dries you out, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it constricts your blood vessels. And so if you are having some issues with swelling or anything that from some of that could be from alcohol. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, aches. I know I ache more on my joints when I drink a lot of alcohol. And I'm just telling you, I'm keeping it 100 because I keep a track of like how I'm feeling after I drink, and I make a little mental note and what alcohol that was made me feel like that and all that kind of stuff, because I want to know what affects my body in what way, right? So,
Smart.
but I
Yep.
know it dries you up. From constipation to constricted vessels, it dries you up. That's why when people say when it's hot, don't drink alcohol, because that's not going to hydrate you. You have
Right.
to drink other things besides alcohol. And so that kind of thing. It affects your liver and your pancreas. So, you know, alcoholics, the first thing when they're get put on dialysis is because their pancreas, their liver, kidneys, and it affects all of that.
Yeah.
It dries
All your
them up.
lower intestines. Yep.
Yeah, it dries it up. It nothing like dried up organs, right? When you can't have dry organs are supposed to be fluid and everything flowing good. Your blood vessels are open, things are flowing. When things are constricted and dry up, things are hard to do. You know, you're in stroke territory, your blood pressure is going up, all of that, alcohol affects all of that. And obviously, they've had over the years that affects cancer. So
Sure.
it's really they've really connected over the last 10 years to breast cancer. Lucky me. Liver cancer and colorectal cancer. But a direct connection with alcohol to those cancers. Again, that's that colorectal. That's that poop ain't flowing good. You know, your rectals get all of your filters out and stuff like that. Alcohol redesigns all of that in your body, so it affects everything. So kidneys, and your immune system. If you know alcoholics, they also like stay sick. It's other sickness, colds, things like that, because they're not getting all those nutritious things in their body. They're just having like liquid diets. Alcohols, we're talking about alcohols, are really skinny. They're really drawn in. You know, they are not eating what they need to eat and drinking a lot. It's usually a one takes the place of others. So they ain't eating nothing, but they're doing a whole bunch of drinking. And you'll start to see it in your body and your skin and all that. People, their skin gets darker. You notice that?
Yeah.
In alcoholics, their eyes get sucked in, rings around their eyes.
The physical changes are usually very visible because you don't have the hydration, and it's going to affect you.
Right. So that's the question is always asked. Do you think that alcoholism is generic or hereditary?
I think it's probably both, depending on your situation. I think as you look through and you start looking at family legacy ties, and you say, you know, grandmother, mother, daughter, that kind of thing, you say, wow, they all became alcoholics. You wonder, was that hereditary? Was it because it gets into your blood flow? You don't know if the person was drinking at the time they were born, and then they're predisposed to alcohol, that kind of thing.
Fetal alcohol syndrome is a real thing.
Right. It's a real thing, you know, and there's effects from that. I think so. I think that's definitely on the table. I think for the most part, most people, it's probably environmental. You're just in a situation when, like you said earlier, you're around an alcoholic, you're around it. I remember, you know, when I was very young, being around people who drank and thinking that kind of behavior, I wanted to emulate that, even though I wasn't drinking. Like, oh, I wanted to act, you know, fun or happy, or this or that, or whatever it may be.
Right.
You know, and not realizing that that was an effect of alcohol or alcoholism as you go further. And not realizing, to your point, how it affects your health. You're not clear, you're thinking. There's so many other things that happen. But to answer your question, I think it's twofold. I think it can be hereditary, and I also think it can be environmental.
Yeah, absolutely. And situational, right? Because that's environmental, but situational. Like I said, when people have people that die, or, you know, that kind of stuff, some things lead people to drink, I guess, is what I'm saying on those things. So you're right. I think it's a combination of things. And so you got to just be careful on what's your trigger in terms of alcohol. I'm a social drinker, although I do have it in my family. Like I said, my grandfather on both sides were both alcoholics. But I came from two parents, because they had alcoholic fathers, neither one of them drank. So they were like, we are breaking this cycle. You know, it's like two kids of alcoholic kids getting together and like, was your dad an alcoholic? Oh, we ain't doing that. So that effect made them stop, instead of, could be the other way. Could have made them both be alcoholics, right? Yeah. Thought it was a good thing. So yeah, I think it's just be careful to watch what your triggers are. Social drinking is cool. I'm glad that they're starting to do mocktails in the bars where you can still have that, because I can still social drink, but I ain't gotta be, you know, having 5 or 6 drinks that's gonna get me faded and can't drive home and all that kind of stuff. And I can, you know, still be in a, because I don't, you know, usually just drink alone by myself, or unless I found a real good
And you
drink. No,
brought up a
yes.
good point about that when you start to say, what's the difference between a social drinker and then somebody with alcohol use disorder?
Yeah.
Meaning, social drinking, usually they're going to stop drinking after the club and the next day. They're kind of like they're
Mm-hmm.
done
Mm-hmm.
with that. They may be having a hangover. Hey, I ain't even going to drink for a little bit. But what an alcoholic, as you said it kind of earlier, they binge drink. They're going to continue drinking whether they're in the club or not. They're at
Right.
home and then they're continuing to drink. I remember having a bar back, in Florida. A lot of people they see my Facebook post and they say, "Oh, who's this McGaw Fish Camp?" Well, McGaw's Fish Camp was actually my den, my man cave down in Florida. I had a nice bar there. They
Oh,
had all kinds
we
of
always have to describe that.
teas. So I always, I was in a bar, almost a bar situation in my house, but
Mhm.
I didn't drink that much. I would drink socially. People come over, I would have some alcohol there. A lot of people have in-house bars, and a lot of those people they don't sit there and drink, all the alcohol there. And
Mhm.
I remember even at a time where I would call myself tipping in that direction. I said, "Wow, I don't even have alcohol in my bar. That's because I've been drinking all of it." I said, "I need to stop." So, but I have a filter. Some people don't have that filter. That means, hey, I
That's
need to
it.
go to the store and go get some more liquor. And then,
Mhm.
so it becomes a cycle that you don't break and you're kind of used to it. But as you get older, you can't consume that type of alcohol in volume like that without having effects.
Right. Like
Effects
people
are
used to
gonna
say, I can't drink like I used to. I think when
exactly.
your body is young, it's up for more abuse in terms of that area, right?
Mm,
Your organs are still young, everything is still kind of fresh, and so it takes a longer time, I think, to have those alcoholic effects when you're younger. Because I know I drink a lot of alcohol coming up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
In my 30s, I can really look, and but you have to recognize. Like I recognize it might become a problem if I start keep day drinking,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
I was already drinking from the weekends, but then I started running with an alcoholic or a person who drank a lot. And,
Mm,
next thing we're over South 7 drinking during the daytime. So
right. Right.
just 100, just 100. Don't y'all, what y'all know about South 7? Don't know about South 7. But anyway, but yeah, but it was a crowd I was running with at the time.
Hmm.
I must have not have been working that summer because it was a summer like little stretch where, you know, it was just nothing to go over and get some barbecue over South 7, have some lunch, Pete, pizza guy over there, and he's smoking meat all the time, making sure we
Hmm.
taste some good brisket or whatever. That was just kind of the lifestyle I was running that summer,
Hmm.
but I did start thinking, you know what? I ain't just drinking on the weekends. Now I'm drinking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now
Right.
I'm drinking on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday. It didn't really matter. So it was social, but it was like, when wasn't I drinking? If I'm drinking during the
Mm,
day and
yeah.
I'm drinking on the weekends, it's like, what am I not drinking in the morning? So I recognize that. It was like, I got first of all start running with this person who drinks like that.
Mm.
They got to change your
Well, that's the environment, right?
you change
And
your environment, change your
yeah,
group, change your running partners, right?
right.
Uh, Change your situation. So it's about recognizing. It's about
Yeah, but
recognizing.
that's responsibility being accountable. You became accountable. Like, hey, I got to be accountable for my own behavior, and it's going to affect other parts of your life. Right? There's,
Absolutely.
there's no doubt about it, whether you realize it or not. I remember many days now. I got to get up. I got to take kids to school. I got to go to work. I got to be clear headed. And I found myself like, all right, I got to quit doing this because I don't want to wake up feeling like this. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
start to make some changes.
Well, and some of those signs, if you can't, it might lead you. It might think you're alcoholic if you can't make those changes, right?
Mm,
If you can't stop intentionally, or if you tried to stop and you can't. Those are some things that you might be tipping that skeleton. Might need some more professional help. If
yeah.
you can drink, you keep drinking despite your health issues. Like I know when I drink and start messing with my body, I'm like, I gotta stop. But if you were those people, would be like, it ain't the alcohol. I'm having all these other
In
health problems. It ain't
denial.
the alcohol.
Yeah.
You keep drinking. That might mean you might be going having a problem. Despite the health, despite the cravings. You just like got them cravings and you following all those cravings. Those are signs. And
Mm,
drinking more than you intend all the time. So you go out to drink, but you end up smashed every time. That might
mm.
be a little because you drink it too much. You don't know where that line is. That might be some signs that you might be want to
You know a
seek
big
help.
sign, and I'll share this sign because this just happened to me. I was in St. Croix, Virgin Islands, right? They drink
Mm-hmm.
a lot of rum down there.
Rum.
They're drinking rum. So I'm drinking rum, and I was drinking a lot of rum, and all of a sudden I'm not feeling really that high. I'm not feeling drunk or anything like that. I'm like, man, I drank a lot. and I'm not feeling that, right? So
Right.
I started to realize my tolerance level had just gone up a lot. I said, okay, if I keep drinking to a point where I need to now feel like I'm high or drunk or something like that, I'm going to have to drink more. That means I
Mhm.
need to stop. So again, that's that accountability and understanding your own self. And as you know,
Knowing
when I got
yourself.
back, I stopped drinking for like a month or two because like, all right, I'm done because
Right.
the tolerance has just gotten too high. Meaning I've got to like double my intake to get to the same feeling. That's a problem.
Right. Right. That's a problem. And that's kind of like what, remember they said where crackheads are like they are because they're
Mhm.
chasing that first high. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that. Just like it's not even getting you drunk anymore. You might want to say, little detox. Because that's your body saying, this is about as much alcohol as I need before this becomes dangerous. Because you
Mhm.
can get alcohol poisoning, right? You can
Mhm.
get that. And so people who are drink, that's what happens. Their alcohol poisons their body. They start having liver issues, kidney issues, all those things, issues. And your body starts working against you. So you have to pay attention to those things. And so if you're not, and you're running your body down and you're not saying it's a part of the alcohol problem, again, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Got that right. Yep. You got to do it.
Yep. Yep.
Got to do it. You got to do it. Now, talking about the wealth portion of all that, obviously, you can see how that can start to affect your pockets. And I remember, I don't know what is alcohol was cheaper back when I was younger or not. I say,
Yeah,
man,
it was.
that's a lot of money.
Oh man. Back when we were, a drink $3 to $5.
Yeah,
Even at the bar, $3 to $5. You got a pretty good drink for $7.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
drinks start at 10. And if you want like a top shelf, it's gonna be 12 to 15.
15, 20.
And them drinks ain't no bigger.
Yeah.
It's just increased. Like yes. Alcohol has
Yes.
gotten more expensive
Well,
over
take
the
it like
years.
you go out to dinner or whatnot, and you look at how much the food was, and you look and say, well, how
How
much
much?
the alcohol? So you start having two people, and both of them have 2 drinks or 3 drinks. That's going to be more than this.
Ching.
It adds up. It
That
adds
can
up.
be a deterrent, right? So when you start thinking, can you afford to be an alcoholic? That might help you be a deterrent because really
I
it
told my
costs. Even
friends
when you buy
that
bottles, it
exact
costs more.
thing. What you said, I told them. I said I cannot afford to be an alcoholic. It costs too much.
It
So,
costs too much. It's going to cost you ching. And, when you start adding up, just like coffees, people are like addicted to coffees and stuff. You start
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
how much is that Scooter's coffee costing you $5 to $7
A
a
day,
cup?
yeah, all the time. Yeah.
And if you do that every day, that's, $30 a week, it starts to add up. And so
It
drinks,
adds up.
man, drinks are $10 all the way right now. If you catch a happy hour, you might catch a $5 drink, but it's going to be the cheapest alcohol ever if you get a $5 drink.
Yeah, it gets expensive, but that's just the cost of the alcohol itself. Not even talking about the effects of the alcohol. You lose a job. I know people that have lost jobs because of alcohol.
Yeah,
Everybody thinks about the
absolutely.
drug test. Well, if you start going to work, you're late, or you
Or
don't show
don't
up at
show up at
all
all.
because you're sick, or when you do show up, you can't do your work effectively because you're not clear in what you're doing,
You
and then
drag,
you
you
have
got a
all the
hangover,
other
going to work
effects.
with a hangover.
Oh, and he's wow, I gotta let you go because and people can notice. You think you're being slick. He's like, nobody's gonna notice. They notice, because they knew how you were before, especially before you got the job typically, and then what you're doing now. They start, wow, there's a marked difference. And whether
Yeah.
it's physically, they can see what's going on with you, or like I said, mentally, you're going on, or like you're snapping. You talk about the mood swings and all this kind of stuff. Like, well, what's feeling? And then that coping. I always remember what my grandfather told me, and I never forgot this because he used to tip his cups, and I remember I was looking at him while he was drinking once, and he looked at me and said, "Do not let this become a crutch in your life." Meaning
Oh,
he
your
was
grandfather said that
using,
to you
yeah, he did.
about a liquor?
My liquor said, "Do not use this as a crutch." That was his crutch that got him through the week and through his life. He
Oh,
said,
okay.
"This is a bad crutch to have," right? And I
Absolutely.
never forgot that. Like, oh yeah, I can't be using alcohol as a coping mechanism, as a crutch for whatever I'm going through, because it's not going to really help you through that particular situation.
Yeah, and I think that's where majority of alcoholism comes from. People use it as it's stressful. Life is stressful, and it's just easy just to go take a shot of something or drink a couple of beers just to wind down. But not only wind down, but wind down and forget, wind down
Mhm.
and let go. Um, But like to your point, that whole making it be a crutch, that's what you have to realize. Like, is it a crutch? Is it helping? Is it hurting in the big
Mhm.
picture of
Yeah.
things, and learning other self-caring techniques to
Hmm.
de-stress, right?
Hmm.
So don't let that be a crutch, but also replace that with something that can help de-stress you. So learn that Tai Chi, learn that meditation, go running. Some people really have to be physical. Get in the gym then and punch the bag out, or whatever your thing is to release stress. Just find something else besides alcohol to be the crutch.
Yeah. Yeah. All these things are super important. If you're willing to listen, sometimes it affects your family, not only, yourself. Right now they say it's like, I think it's alcohol use disorder costs the economy about $250 billion a year. Let that sink in. That's a lot of money. We
And
talked
costing
about
the economy in what way? How is it costing? Because they're charging for all this liquor that we
yeah,
paying for liquor. Like, it's a big $1 billion business, but
yep.
it's costing the economy in what ways?
Well, just like we talked about, absences, reduced concentration that you can't think
At
through,
work,
workplace injuries, people,
workplace.
you're
Okay.
going to fall, you get hurt. There's a lot of things. They even talk about, accidents that people have. Think about what
Lost
it
of life.
costs you to get a DUI. You ever anybody got a DUI? DUI is very expensive. If that occurs to you, you can lose your license. Obviously, hopefully, thank God, hopefully you haven't lost your life or somebody else's life behind that. You got to pay for lawyer fees. You got to pay for court fees. You might even lose your job. You got to now go to all these different courses. Why do I say that? Because I got a DUI like 20 some odd years ago. And I had to go through all of that. I was not happy. Like, we won't be doing this anymore. And that's the only time I remember I had it. Because you get a DUI, guess what? You also go to jail. And I had not never like jail. What was that like? Oh, that was not fun. Like, this is not cool. I do not like this. I
Not
remember
recommended.
calling and they said, oh, I can be bonded out immediately. Well, guess what? That takes almost 24 hours. So you're sitting in there and you're like, this is a lesson learned. DUI is not fun. So if you're driving and you are drinking, you got to know your limitations. Right now, you can go to Uber, you can do so many other things than get behind the wheel of a car.
Let's say that
Knowing
again.
you're driving.
Let's say that again. It's just really no reason to be drinking and driving. There's just not. Ubers and Lyfts have been out over here. Now, back in our day, we didn't have that. You really couldn't. You could, I guess, call it a jitney, but nobody thought about calling it a jitney for when you're drunk. Like we just drove drunk. We didn't have that option.
Yeah.
But there's just no reason to be driving and drinking now. Catch that damn Uber. Call them up and call. Even at holiday times, some of the attorneys' offices give you a free Uber. But there's just no reason to drink and drive, and so call that Uber. Have a friend call you an Uber. Use that service. It's just totally avoidable. Totally avoidable.
Lot less expensive. Go back later and go get your car. But if you know you're habitually drinking right now, I think it was like, it's only 0.08 or something like alcohol percentage in your blood to be considered legally drunk. That's not a lot. That's like 2 drinks. It's not a lot, right?
No, it's like 2 drinks. And depending on how strong those drinks are, it could be 1 drink.
Yeah.
If you're drinking shots or you're
just got to be aware of your surroundings, what you're doing, how you're doing things. But I'm going back to the expense of like the DUI, losing your job and all these other things. All that adds up into that $250 billion, of lost revenue in the economy. So it's very, very important. And then when you get those things on your record, talk about you trying to get, you got to rent a new place, or you got to get some kind of loan, and you got damaged credit now. I mean, it becomes a real problem if you want to continue to drink to a point where you have alcohol use disorder. It's going to take you down to a very low level over time.
Absolutely. And it obviously piggybacks on all your relationships. It just started with the DUI. You're going to lose your license. Then you're going to have somebody take you to work. How's that going to work with your spouse or your family situation? You can't drive. You literally have to get dropped off everywhere. Now, in that case, those Ubers are going to start building up, because if you can't drive, you have to take an Uber to work and all that kind of stuff. So again, in the long run, it's going to cost you. So the best thing is just be smart and be responsible when you're drinking, right? Be smart, be responsible. If somebody's saying you drank too much, if you stumble when you get up, you probably just might not want to drive. Just know your body and just don't take the chance. How about that? Just
Yep,
don't take the chance.
designated driver. Remember that came out. You don't have a friend that don't drink. You're gonna go out, but you got to know yourself. You got to know the situation, and you got to know where you're at. And to your point, if you know you're drinking to excess most of the time, you've got to be accountable and responsible and understand what you're dealing with, and the consequences can be quite extensive.
Right. So some of the takeaways I just want before we go into, I want to just show it since we're kind of running out over our time. We're going to have put up a thing about how to talk to family members, right? And so you just don't want to come at family members like accusatory. You don't want to say, "Hey, I think you're an alcoholic" or anything. There's ways to talk to your loved one. Do it in a calm voice. Do it when they're sober. Do it from an empathetic point. I care about you. I really want to help you. Not accusatory, not pointing fingers like you wrecked my car, you did this, and blah blah blah. You're drinking too much, and every time I turn around, you put up. Coming from a loving, empathetic place. If you're going to have a conversation at all, if not, leave that up to a therapist or somebody you recommend them to go to an AA meeting or somebody that they can. Because you have to recognize it yourself first. Just like anything, stopping anything, you have to know that it's a problem and say, yeah, alcohol's become a problem in my life. You have to say that first to move on. So just get them to that loving point so they can get some help. No shame in the game. I want people to realize there's no shame in getting assistance and getting therapy for it or whatever. If there's some medications out there that can help you, because sometimes when you're like on like cocaine or other drugs, they'll give you some melatonin, some other stuff that helps take the edge off. I think they got some drugs out there now that even take the edge off of for alcoholism. So, get those therapies. Yeah, they have stuff out there that could really help, but if you want the help. So we're also going to put our resource sheet up. There's all kind of resources right here if you need them. There are facilities right here in Omaha. Centerpoint Campus for Hope is strictly about outpatient and inpatient therapies for alcoholism and drugs. CHI, behavioral health, they can help you try to figure out why you're drinking. So that therapy come along with just not drinking, right? Help you figure out why you're drinking, what's your triggers for drinking, maybe, why you're drinking so much. Maybe you can go back to a situation that you don't think about, or maybe it is grief or something, but it help you understand it to be able to help you cope with it. So always remember CHI for that behavioral health. Shout out to Anthony Ashby. Who we're going to be working and continue to work with over at CHI. Inroads to Recovery is also another inpatient, outpatient treatment. You can get evaluations if you need evaluations from there. Nova's still out here. Okay, Nova's been out here a long time. Is a residential facility where you can actually go and get a 30-day detox. It used to be 30 days. I think they're only doing 30 days these days. They usually go to 60 days before.
30 days usually is the normal. Yeah,
30 days, because that's all your insurance is going to pay for. It really comes out of that. So Nova's still out here. I love that. Inpatient residential and North Omaha Behavioral Health, NCAP, is still out here. It's been out here for a long time. So there are places to go. We'll put this resource sheet in our bag of goodies and our folder of resources.
Yep, it'll be on the website.
Look at it.
I wanted to shout out one thing as you went through that. My brother worked for a facility like that in Lincoln, I think at the Bryan Hospital. I think it was behavioral system or something like that for 20, almost 30 years. And they did it for all kinds of different disorders, whether you're on a drug or you're alcohol. But he always told me that alcohol was the worst for somebody, to get over, to overcome, because it has such a physical and emotional hold on a person. And because it's so readily available, you can go almost every, neighborhood, community, whatever, and go and get alcohol. You can get, but you don't realize how powerful that drug can be for certain individuals. Someone else, you can drink, stop, it's no big deal. I'm kind of in that category. Somebody else, they drink and they consume it like we do food. So they're constantly, consuming this kind of alcohol, and it's really destroying their body, their mental capacities. There's a lot that goes into that. And then coming off of it, when you get to what they call the DTs or something to that effect, it is not nothing nice. You can actually die from stopping alcohol consumption. That's a lot of people don't realize that when you want to try to help somebody, but sometimes they have to drink to a point where they begin to wean themselves off over time. But
To
they
weaning.
cannot just stop immediately because it can actually kill them. That's the physicality of what how your body is now dependent on the alcohol as a nutrition. That's very, very important to know.
Yeah. It's just not dependent on a period. Your body just gets used to it, right? It's like, where's my morning drink? Where's my afternoon drink? Where's my evening drink? And so when you're not having it, first of all, you're like a crackhead. You're literally looking for it, and you make sure you have it. But it just also it calls you. It makes you refocus to drinking all the time. So if you're having those thoughts and you're just always thinking about drinking, even though when you're not drinking, those are again some signs. But I just want to end with, it's not a moral failure. I think we want to continue to reduce the stigma on alcoholism. It's a disorder. It's a problem for some people, just like eating, right? We're trying to reduce the stigma for people being obese and overweight. And they said it's a disorder. So they have treatments for that. So there's treatments for this. It's a disorder. There's no failure when it comes to having this disorder. I just want people to think that we're going to reduce the stigma. Family members deserve the care too. So even if you got an alcoholic family member, you're like, oh, they're just a drunk, blah, 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 blah. Just have empathy for your family members because it's hard. Like Grant just said, it's harder for some people than others. And so just come with love for them and give them the resources, support them in the journey. They might fall off, when they say fall off the wagon 400 or 500 times. They might be like, but the point is, if they keep starting to get on that wagon, even though they fall off, they're still in control. There's some hope there because they keep getting back on the wagon, right? So you want them to keep getting back on the wagon instead of say, anything's gonna kill me anyway, and then you wake up and you'll find them dead somewhere.
Got to disrupt that whole rhythm and that cycle of behavior. I think we got to mention AA because there's Alcohol Anonymous that are out there. There's Al-Anon, especially for people when you have a family member that's going through alcoholism and affects the entire family. Sometimes the family also needs therapy to get through those things. Because some of these things can be very trauma and drama. A lot of trauma and drama behind alcohol. I think there was a stat out there that most people you see in the prison system, that I think it was like 70% or maybe more have alcoholism in that journey that they were on and got them where they're at.
Absolutely.
So you got to be aware of that. So AA, there's NA as well for any kind of drug abuse and that kind of stuff. AA, NA, and Al-Anon are some other organizations that you can focus on.
Absolutely. So closing line and takeaways for this is asking for help is not a weakness.
Yes.
Act of protection for your health, your future, and the people that you love.
Oh, and love is the main thing. You can love. And I've seen many different people come out of these things and they're back to being the beautiful person that you knew them before. Like, wow, that was an episode in their life, but that doesn't define them for the rest of their life. Right. So continue to care and love individuals. They can break through these things, but it's going to be a journey, and just understand that. That's
it. So I hope you guys got some good information. Remember to check our photos for anything that you would have missed. We have always our past episodes on YouTube and LinkedIn, Facebook.
And your website. Always go back to the Pink Lotus website.
Or the LinkedIn pages.
Yep.
It's on the LinkedIn pages or YouTube pages.
We're all over.
It's always there. You can always find us. Go back and see those past episodes. If you want to see something very specific, if you want us to cover something very specific, let us know. Put it in the comments. We always go back and check the comments. And I would say remember to eat well.
Oh, wait a minute. Now we got there's some pancake eating that has to take place.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, we got a little bit of time, but yes, we're going to bring it up every time because we want y'all to remember October 3rd, our 8th annual Pink Pancake Feed. So we're a little more than a month out, but you're right. It's going to be September before you know it. And right after September is October 3rd. So Mandela Elementary School, October 3rd, Saturday, 9 to noon. Come out and have pink pancakes with us and get your health screening. So it's a family event. We have face painters and music and prizes and raffles and all that good fun stuff. But bring the kids out if they haven't gotten their physicals. Bring yourself out if you need a physical, if you need to know your numbers, right? We always talk about knowing your numbers. We'll have all kind of health screening, free health screening there for you that day. So come out and help support our 8th annual Pancake Feed. Shout out to Mandela Elementary School and Principal Genevieve what is he? Mr. Cotton. I don't know what
Oh,
his
Maurice.
position is.
Maurice. Oh, he's the athletic director
Oh,
for
and shout out to Mr. Maurice Cotton, the athletic director, who is hosting our event this year. So we want to give him a shout out for letting us use their facility. But we hope to see everybody out. Tickets are already on sale now. Call us for tickets or scan the QR code on a flyer. Ask a survivor. But we'll get you one. Just call the number 402-250-1716 and we'll get you a ticket. $15. And we haven't up that in years. $15, all you can eat pancakes, 2 sausages, and a drink. You can't beat the deal.
Yeah, and get screening. Get the health screening. It's very, very important.
Health screening, coffee, tea, your choice. Bring the kids. $10 for kids 12 and under. We do have a $10 kids price.
Yep.
Come on out. October 3rd. Save the date. Save the date.
So my big, there's a couple things I've got. First of all, the Urban League is having their annual conference and award show. That'll be on Saturday the 22nd. So make sure you take a look at that. Get on out there. I think it'll be great. We've got to celebrate our heroes in the community. And then 5-Star BDM doing the Omaha AI Accelerator Breakthrough 402. We're going to have the announcement of the cohort that are actually going to be in the first cohort for the first classes that we're going to have. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to upskill yourself using AI to actually grow your business. So that's taking place. You can always go to 5-Star. That's the number 5-Star, STAR, B for brand, D for development, infomasters.com for all that good information. And I want to thank you again for tuning in to the show.
Okay, now. Don't forget to eat right
and move. Got it.
Imagine waking up with more energy, a peaceful mind, and relationships that grow stronger every day. That is the vision Tisa Harden and Grant McGaw want to help you achieve, and it all starts with simple, practical steps you can take this week. On health, wealth, and relationships, every episode brings you real stories and trusted experts. Tisa and Grant focus on 3 tactical steps each week. Small, doable moves that protect your health, grow your savings, and bring you closer to the people you love. No complicated rules, just real progress. Try a clinic-to-kitchen swap to boost your energy. Start a money buffer habit that quietly builds your financial confidence. Or try a 1-minute exercise that helps you reconnect with your partner. These quick wins are not chores. They are steps toward a better life. People who try just one intentional step report more energy, less money stress, and evenings full of laughter again. Join Tisa and Grant. Start small, live bigger. Tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and subscribe.